Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Breaking news stories this noon. 911 calls are giving us insight into the minutes immediately following the convicted murderer escape custody in Orange County.
Also breaking, a flight from Charlotte makes an emergency landing at RDU after reports of smoke inside the cockpit. A passenger who was on that plane shares his nerve-wracking experience.
And Hurricane Ernesto looking a bit more organized at the noon hour. The warning that officials are sending beachgoers for the weekend coming up.
And that breaking news this noon, we are hearing for the first time the moments after an inmate escaped from a Hillsborough hospital. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us. 911 calls give some insight into the chaotic situation when Ramon Alston escaped. WRAL's Sean Gallagher is live at the Orange County Sheriff's Office with the latest. Sean.
Yeah, Renee, when the sheriff gave us the timeline of events yesterday, he said it all happened so fast. 1 minute, Ramon Alston was in custody, and the very next minute, he was gone. And here are the moments directly after that happened, the 911 call announcing he had escaped.
We are notifying our units. Where was the last place exactly he was seen? Where was he running from? What door? Where was he?
He's running from the hospital emergency room.
Okay, which door? Is it the emergency room door?
Yes, right here in the back. We were going to pull him out the vehicle. He got his cuff on. He can't go that far. He just took off running.
Now, all of this sparked a 33-hour ground search for Alston, but he vanished. Crews from 19 different law enforcement agencies were involved from across the state, and now they're switching to more of an intelligence investigation, and we've just learned that they've increased the reward for tips to $50,000. Now, the DOC tells me the officers who were involved in this transport are still actively working. They tell me there's no indication at this time that they did anything improper. Sean Gallagher, WRAL News, Hillsborough.
Also new at noon, we are hearing from a passenger who was on board a flight that was forced to make an emergency landing at RDU this morning. Smoke on a plane led to a flight diversion around 8:40 this morning. WRAL's Chris Lovingood joins us now with more on this. Chris, first of all, is everyone okay on that plane?
You know, Jeff, it appears to be that way, although Daniel Smith did say that at one point he saw a stretcher, but no one on it. He says he felt some shaking on board that plane and thought all was fine. That was until he smelled smoke. Sky 5 was there as the plane was headed toward the runway and finally touched down. The American Airlines flight was supposed to be headed to Connecticut when it made the emergency landing. An RDU spokesperson says reports of smoke within the plane led to the landing. Now, once on the ground, a team hauled the plane back to a gate. As for Daniel Smith, here's his account of what led up to that he witnessed.
I was asleep, and there's a loud, shake, audible pop. I woke up, looked out the window, everything looked fine, went back to sleep, and about 5 minutes later, you could smell an electrical fire, like smoke.
Now, there were fire and emergency teams there. They were gathered around the cockpit area of the plane, but after some time, the scene was cleared. Daniel Smith says he just wishes the flight crew communicated with the passengers about what was going on. He says that did not happen, and WRAL is working to confirm what led to smoke being reported on the plane.
We've learned an SUV involved in a deadly crash this morning on South Miami Boulevard in Durham was involved in a police chase earlier. Durham police say Morrisville officers were chasing the SUV in connection with an assault carjacking. Morrisville police lost sight of the vehicle and ended the chase. Police say the SUV crashed around 4:40 in a field. The driver was ejected and died at the scene. We do not yet know that driver's name. Also new at noon, a man charged in the murder of Jeremiah Williams is being held in the Durham County Jail without bond. Williams was shot and killed last November near the intersection of Wabash Street and Dayton Street. Tyshawn Franks is charged with first-degree murder in the case. No word yet on a motive.
Hurricane Ernesto brings impacts to the North Carolina coast this weekend. Meteorologist Amy Wilmoth is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with what you need to know if you have plans to go to the beach. Amy.
It's a little tricky, Renee. If you're headed to the beach, the forecast actually looks really good as far as the weather is concerned if you're headed to the beach, especially Saturday. Sunday, maybe a few storms. But officials with the National Weather Service urging people to be cautious. Just because the weather is nice doesn't mean that the water isn't dangerous, and it's likely that we're going to have very dangerous rip currents over the weekend and rough surf as well. We see this time and time again, storms that don't make landfall in North Carolina, but they're close enough that they bring those dangerous rip currents, and we have a lot of rescues, and we don't want that to happen this weekend. So the best advice that they're giving, stay out of the water. If you do get in the water, which they are advising against, make sure you're in an area with lifeguards. The problem is this time of year, a lot of those lifeguards are college students and they're going back to school. So there's not a lot of lifeguards out there. So just try to stay out of the water if you're headed to the beaches this weekend. Maybe just do some beach combing. Hurricane Ernesto is starting to get its act together. It still has winds at 85 miles per hour, but it is starting to become even more organized. So I'd expect probably the next update that it's likely going to be a Category 2 hurricane. And it is going to make landfall most likely in Bermuda. Bermuda now under hurricane warnings. Saturday morning, it could make landfall right over Bermuda as a Category 2 hurricane. And then it will lift to the north and eventually curve back out to sea. And that's all because of a cold front that is going to be moving through North Carolina over the weekend. Here's where the cold front is right now. It's going to bring us some showers and some thunderstorms over the weekend, but thankfully it's going to move to the east and help push Ernesto back out to sea. Coming up, I'm going to talk about the hour-by-hour timeline for rain for both Saturday and Sunday.
You mentioned college students there, Amy. It is move-in day for students at several Triangle universities. And if you plan to take your lunch break near the NC State University campus, you might want to make some other plans. WRAL's Brett Neese is live on campus right now with how this move-in day is affecting traffic in that area. Brett?
Yeah, Jeff. There's a lot of construction on Western Boulevard, and so they have actually created a staggered check-in process here at NC State. They learned how to do this back during COVID, and now they've really refined it here this year to make sure that it doesn't affect traffic out there on Western. And behind me, it is a pretty orderly process here at Sullivan Hall. I have some video to show you of what it looks like as well. Officials tell me there's only about 5 to 25 students who can check in every hour, depending on the building size. And that's what's allowing them to limit so many people on campus at a time. Of course, this check-in process is just getting underway, and they've put a lot of work into this, a lot of thought because of all that construction on Western Boulevard, and they're just trying to make sure that this is a stress-free day as possible for both parents and students.
That we've worked so hard to ensure that today goes as smoothly as possible. We know that there will be a few tears, but we don't want it to be because of, traffic or anything like that. We want it to be because they are so excited to drop their student off here.
And so there are about 7,000 new students coming to campus here this year. That's the most ever for NC State, so it's a big undertaking today. And I have seen a couple of those tears from a couple of parents so far today, but this move-in is just getting underway. It's going to happen over the next several days until Sunday. Live in Raleigh, Brett Neese, WRAL News.
Parents got to have the tissues ready when they drop off the kids. A similar scene is playing out in Durham, where it's move-in day at North Carolina Central University. NCCU is welcoming its largest class in 15 years with more than 1,900 students enrolled. 1,500 of the incoming students are from North Carolina. The most popular programs for class of 2028 are business administration, pre-nursing, criminal justice, psychology, and biology.
With this being my first year, this class is very special to me because we're starting out together. As I lead NCCU, is a very exciting time, and I'm looking forward to seeing the great successes that we all will accomplish together.
So that was the new chancellor, Carrie Dixon, who you just heard there. She's a first-generation college graduate of several UNC institutions. Classes at NCCU start on Monday.
And happening right now in the WRAL Life Center, we're following some breaking news. Multiple people have been charged in connection with the accidental overdose death of actor Matthew Perry. At least one person was arrested in California earlier today. LA police were working with federal authorities to investigate the source of ketamine that was found in Perry's system. Perry died October 28th of last year after he was found face down in his home pool. The coroner ultimately ruled his death an accident, but today we are finding out multiple people are now charged in connection with his death. Federal prosecutors are expected to unseal an indictment later today detailing the allegations against that one individual as well as the others that are charged.
Edgecombe County is about to get a big economic jolt. Sources tell our NC Capital team the battery maker called Natron Energy is planning a $1.4 billion plant between Tarboro and Rocky Mount. The project is expected to be announced this afternoon. It could create 1,200 jobs and is expected to be one of the biggest economic development deals in eastern North Carolina. You can get more information on the deal by going to the NC Capital section of WRAL.com. Taking a look at stocks this noon, there are some retail sales that are soothing recession fears right now and bumping the Dow Jones Industrial Average to 466 points right now. The NASDAQ is also up, approaching 368 points in positive territory. S&P 500 up 77 this noon.
And back here in the WRAL Live Center, a major recall to tell you about. Thousands of dangerous baby loungers were sold on Amazon. They are now being recalled. This is a picture of them on your screen. 5 on your side says the recall is for the Mommy Baby and Cozy Nation baby loungers. They violate federal infant sleep regulations and are a suffocation and fall hazard. Thankfully, there have been no reports of any injuries so far, but stop using these immediately and contact Mexia Shop to get a refund.
Next at noon, one of the newest entertainment venues in Vegas lights up the night with sights and sound. It's also the source of complaints from locals. What's keeping people up at night?
Also, you just heard from Amy the latest track of Hurricane Ernesto, but the concerns after hitting Puerto Rico hard as it is bearing down now on Bermuda.
Plus, high-stakes negotiations today in Qatar. At 12:30, the breakthrough the U.S. is working toward Hamas and Israel.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
Vice President Kamala Harris is expected to talk about her plan for the economy when she's in Raleigh tomorrow. She's expected to call for a federal ban on corporate price gouging in the food and grocery industries. WRAL's Sean Gallagher will cover Harris's event. Watch for his live reports on TV and online at WRAL.com. Harris's running mate, Tim Walz, and Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, will face off on October 1st. Walz responded, "See you on October 1st, J.D." Today, Vance said he accepted the October 1st invitation as well. He also said he was willing to debate on September 18th, a date offered by CNN.
Today, former President Donald Trump is expected to hold a news conference in New Jersey. It comes a day after his campaign made a stop here in North Carolina. Trump talked about the economy during his stop in Asheville Wednesday. His stage featured signs showing his policy proposals of no tax on Social Security and no tax on tips. He says he'll make addressing the economy one of the first things he does if he's reelected.
On my first day back in the Oval Office, I will sign an executive order directing every cabinet secretary and agency head to use every tool and authority at their disposal to defeat inflation and to bring consumer prices rapidly down. We'll do it very rapidly.
Democratic leaders who spoke with WRAL say Trump's plans will only help the rich, not the working class.
The new Sphere in Las Vegas lights up the Strip night and day. Now, organizers want to amp up the music, but some residents say not so fast. The display on the Exosphere now includes music. Those who live nearby say the 24/7 sounds rattle windows and shake the floors of their high-rise buildings. Some even say they can't sleep. Now the Sphere wants a noise waiver to hold more special events, up to 18 a year.
We are going to be subjected to very high decibel levels 18 times a year. I don't know about you, I go to bed at 10 o'clock. I'm not going to bed at 10 o'clock those 18 nights of the year because the noise will be way too loud.
People who live in the 84 nearby condos say they understand blasting music on holidays like the 4th or New Year's, but 18 times a year, they say, is way too many.
Hurricane Ernesto is on track to strengthen over record warm water to deliver a blow to Bermuda. Powerful winds and torrential rainfall will likely arrive late Friday or early Saturday. NBC's Guad Venegas shows us the damage the storm left in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands.
This morning, a power crisis across Puerto Rico in the aftermath of Ernesto. The powerful storm, which is now a hurricane, battering the island with winds up to 85 miles per hour. tearing roofs off of homes and leaving nearly 500,000 people in the dark. Luma Energy, the private company in charge of power distribution, pressed repeatedly for a timeline on restoration, but offering no estimate, only telling today.
I can't tell you how long it'll take to us. We do know in certain areas that the damage has been limited, so we should be able to move fast.
Ernesto brushing the island as a tropical storm Wednesday, but still dropping nearly a foot of rain. The downpours and flooded roads sweeping away cars and leading to rescues. The Comerio Dam overflowing as officials say at least 3 major rivers burst their banks, forcing some evacuations in the town of Tua Baja. The storm also barreled through the Virgin Islands, leaving thousands on the U.S. side in the dark.
We want to turn on the power, but we don't know where lines are down, so we can't just turn on the power willy-nilly. We got to make sure we don't electrify anybody.
This morning, Hurricane Ernesto is strengthening over the Atlantic, with Bermuda expected to begin feeling its effects as early as Friday, as officials warn those in its path.
This is not the time to underestimate the power of nature.
That track shows it taking dead aim at Bermuda right there. It's shaping up to be a pretty active tropic season now.
Yeah, hitting all the Caribbean islands, but the track is supposed to stay, to the right of the Atlantic coast, so that's good news for us, but we'll have impacts this weekend. Meteorologist Amy Wilmoth in the WRAL Severe Weather Center to explain that, but also the nice weather that we're going to see for a few days.
It is. It's beautiful outside. The dew points are in the low 60s right now. So great weather to get outdoors today. Nice and comfortable. We do have a front on the way that brings us some rain and some storms over the weekend. Maybe some isolated severe storms with some heavy downpours and some gusty winds in those. And I'll have the timeline in just a moment. And Ernesto is starting to get more and more organized. I would expect it to be a Category 2 hurricane later on today. It brings dangerous rip currents up and down the East Coast over the weekend. This is a live look at North Hills. It's so pretty outside. A lot of sunshine with a few little puffy clouds here and there. We don't expect any rain today. Just very nice outside. It's 85 in Raleigh. It's 83 in Rocky Mount, 79 in Roxborough, and 83 in Southern Pines. But the reason it feels pretty good, look at the dew point, 62 in Raleigh and Durham, 65 in Rocky Mount, 66 in Clinton, which is always pretty high. So it just feels nice with those lower humidity values. The humidity is going to start to go back up over the weekend, so appreciate the drier air that we have today. This is the cold front that's arriving for the weekend. It moves in on Sunday, and Sunday will bring the best chance for scattered showers and storms. But today, high pressure is in control, and that's why the weather is nice and quiet. It's going to be another nice night tonight with temperatures back down into the mid-60s. But outdoor plans for this weekend. Saturday, I think it's going to be totally fine. It's not until after sunset that we could see a couple of spotty showers or storms. And then Sunday, we'll have scattered storms. It's a better chance for some storms on Sunday, so you might have to take your plans inside occasionally, but it's not going to be a washout. Here's a look at Futurecast. This is Friday evening, the rain moving into the North Carolina mountains at that point, but we're still dry on Friday. Saturday, most of the day is fine. It's going to be dry. It's just going to be more humid. And then by the time we get to Sunday, our rain chances will increase, especially the second half of the day. We'll have scattered showers and storms. And I know we don't really need the rain right now because of all the rain we've had so far this month, but this front is going to help us by keeping Ernesto out to sea, which is good news for us. But it's close enough that we're going to have some dangerous rip currents along the North Carolina coast this weekend. Today, we do not have dangerous rip currents, but that's going to start to change late tomorrow. So if you're headed to the beaches this weekend, it's just best to stay out of the water. The weather's going to be nice, but the water is going to be dangerous. We expect dangerous rip currents up and down the North Carolina coast and all the way down into South Carolina and Georgia as well, just in case you're vacationing in some of those spots. Closer to home, beautiful weather today. A lot of kids moving into their dorms for college, and it's just really nice weather for that today. And then tonight, down to 66, should be nice tonight. 88 tomorrow, we'll have partly cloudy skies. It's a dry day. Saturday's mainly dry with high temperatures approaching 90, so it's going to be hotter, and you will notice the humidity on Saturday. Sunday, we'll have scattered showers and storms, and especially the second half of the day. And then Monday, a few spotty storms. But look at Tuesday and Wednesday. Another nice round of weather on Tuesday and Wednesday with highs staying in the low 80s.
Looking forward to that. Amy, thank you. Coming up on WRAL News at 4, hackers may have stolen the Social Security numbers of every American. We'll speak with an expert about how you can protect yourself now that that breach has happened.
And tonight at 6, what should school systems do about cell phones in the class? There are plenty of rules, but are they enough? And how could they be better?
T-Mobile will pay a $60 million settlement over alleged data breach violations. T-Mobile failed to disclose and take action against data leaks that occurred after its $26 billion merger with Sprint in 2020. That violated a national security agreement for the merger. A spokesperson for T-Mobile says the breach did not impact customer information. Apple is reportedly pushing ahead with plans for an iPad-like tabletop device. Users may be able to use it to manage smart home products, home security, and for video calls. It's said to have a thin robotic arm that moves around a large display screen and may be powered by Siri and Apple's new AI tools. The device could be launched as soon as 2026.
The founder of famous Amos Cookies has died. Wally Amos died at the age of 88 following complications with dementia. Although Amos is best known for creating the iconic cookie company, he got his start as a talent agent. He's responsible for signing iconic acts like Simon and Garfunkel and the Supremes. Wally Amos died in his home in Honolulu Tuesday. He is survived by his wife of 45 years and 4 children. Celia Cruz is now the first Afro-Latina to appear on a United States quarter. The coin features the Cuban-American singer smiling with her iconic phrase, Jazucar, which means sugar. And the U.S. Mint began shipping those quarters for circulation this month. Cruz is the 14th woman to receive the tribute as part of the American Women Quarters program. Other honorees include writer Maya Angelou, and the American Women Quarters program continues through 2025.
Critical talks are underway in the Middle East in an effort to free the hostages held by Hamas. We'll explain what these talks aim not just to accomplish, but also to prevent.
Also ahead, how one police department is using virtual reality technology to help train officers to de-escalate tense situations instead of using force. And here is a look at your winning lottery numbers on your screen right now from the NC Education Lottery.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
High-stakes negotiations takes place in Qatar today as the U.S. hopes for a breakthrough that would not just end the war between Israel and Hamas, but would also prevent a wider conflict across the Middle East. NBC's Raf Sanchez explains why Hamas will not attend the meeting.
Israeli negotiators are back in Qatar today for a high-stakes ceasefire summit hosted by Qatar, Egypt, and the United States. CIA Director Bill Burns is back in the room, as he has been many, many times over the last 10 months, trying to close the gaps between Israel and Hamas, trying to get to a ceasefire to end the war in Gaza and to finally bring those Israeli hostages home after more than 300 days in captivity. Hamas has said it will not attend these talks. They believe they've made their position clear and that more talking isn't going to lead to anything. They say the demands are on the table and Israel needs to agree to them. Now, a diplomat briefed on these negotiations says the format here is the 3 mediating countries will meet with Israel, and then at some point in the coming days, they will go and they will meet with Hamas, and they will see if there is progress that can be made here. But there are a number of very complex issues that the two sides are divided on. I'll give you just one example. The question of what happens on the border between Egypt and Gaza. You might remember Israeli forces seized that border area earlier in May. They say Israeli troops need to stay there to prevent Hamas from smuggling weapons underneath the border. Hamas is saying that is a non-starter, and Israeli forces need to withdraw from the Strip. Raf Sanchez, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
Today, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu denied a report that he had spoken with former President Donald Trump about ceasefire and hostage release talks.
The death toll in Gaza has surpassed the 40,000 person mark. That's according to the Palestinian Ministry of Health. Palestinian officials say 40 people were killed, 107 were injured in the past 24 hours. Israel has been focused on rooting out Hamas militants following the October 7th attacks in Israel. In addition to the number of dead, the Palestinian Ministry of Health in Gaza also says the number of wounded has climbed to 92,000 people now. A U.S.-Russian dual citizen has been sentenced to 12 years in prison for treason. Ksenia Kavana was arrested in February while visiting her family. The charges stem from a $51 donation to a U.S. charity that helps Ukraine. Russia's Federal Security Service argued she proactively was collecting money in the interests of one of the Ukrainian organizations. Kavana pleaded guilty in her closed trial last week.
A police department in Illinois has adopted cutting-edge virtual reality technology to enhance officer training in de-escalation and use of force tactics. It's the first time the technology has been used in that state. Tia Ewing explains the equipment comes at no cost to taxpayers.
It looks like they are playing a video game, but what is about to unfold is no laughing matter.
I got blood on the table right in front of you.
These officers are learning de-escalation tactics.
Start listening or I'm going to tase you. Do you understand? Taser down. Suspect's going down.
And in some cases, in the virtual reality training, there's no choice but to use force. The officers use their service weapons minus the live rounds.
I got left. Tourniquet.
Sergeant Jody Porras has been a police officer for 20 years.
In the history of the village, we have never used our weapons in the line of duty, thankfully. But these scenarios we go through almost daily. These are domestics that you're responding to. Going into an unknown house is pretty common. You can see the streets.
This new state-of-the-art VR training system known as Operator XR was developed in Australia. It's the first time it's being used in the state of Illinois.
You can actually use your tactics when you're trying to clear a bed or a bedroom or a room that you're coming up to. It's a lot. It's never going to be real world. But it's the next best thing, I think, that I've ever experienced.
Similar to playing video games, there's a headset where you can see real scenarios right before your eyes, and there are sensors where you can use your hands. Some of the suspects even hurl insults at the officers. From routine traffic stops to de-escalating high-stress situations, the officers have no idea what they are walking into during the training.
That was Tia Ewing reporting. The Village Board used $110,000 in federal drug seizure funds to approve the equipment. The chief says he wants to make sure all 51 officers that are sworn in within their department get the training.
We're working to get answers about a serious crash in Wake Forest. Police responded to the crash on Waite Avenue about 10 o'clock last night. You can see the response from this video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. The crash happened near the bridge over Austin Creek. We've asked police to confirm how many cars were involved in that crash and whether anyone was hurt. We haven't heard back from them yet. We have an update on a crash that sent a man and a girl to the hospital with serious injuries. Raleigh police have issued a citation to a juvenile who was driving a vehicle that hit a moped. The crash happened near Athens Drive High School just after 6:15 last night. This is video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. Police say a man was riding a moped with a juvenile passenger, a girl, on the back when they were hit by a car. The crash is under investigation.
It's tough to learn when you don't show up for school. The significant percentage of kids who are constantly absent and how local school systems are trying to combat the issue.
Plus, a jogger out on a run gets attacked by a bear. What a neighbor did after hearing all the commotion to save the jogger's life. We appreciate you watching WRAL News. Remember, you can watch WRAL News live anytime on WRAL.com or the WRAL app on your streaming device.
New statistics reveal 1 in 4 North Carolina students were chronically absent from school during the 2022-23 school year. That's 417,000 kids. But that's actually an improvement from the year before, when 1 in 3 kids were skipping school. Educators say more kids are feeling overwhelmed by school or overly cautious about illness. To reduce absences, North Carolina school systems are doing things like limiting the number of times a parent can excuse their child's absence and even assigning weekend detention. Some schools also offer attendance rewards and create more events for families to re-engage with school.
We're just a few months away from new leadership overseeing your child's public education. You may have concerns about how this could affect your children, and we want to hear from you. Use the QR code right there on the right side of your screen to get to the link for a new WRAL survey. We want to know which qualifications you think are most important for the next state superintendent. The survey only takes a few minutes. If you can't get to your phone quick enough, it's not near you right now, you can search Back to School on WRAL.com and you'll find that survey right at the top.
Today, the Jazz in the Square music series in Raleigh kicks off after being postponed because of Tropical Storm Debbie last week. So tonight from 6 to 9, you can hear music from Sidecar Social Club and buy food and drinks from local vendors and food trucks. This event will run every Thursday evening at Moore Square in downtown Raleigh through the end of September.
WRAL is your home for the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers will be at Bank of America Stadium for the next preseason game against the New York Jets. You can catch all the action right here on WRAL Saturday night at 7 o'clock. A boy frantically flags down help after his mother crashed their vehicle into a pond. What police say caused that crash and the miraculous ending to this near-death experience.
From one rescue to another, a man in California is lucky to be alive after a bear attack. What may have prompted the attack and how he survived.
You're looking live at downtown Raleigh right now. It is comfortable out there, low humidity, 85 degrees in the capital city as you watch WRAL News, available on Spectrum and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
A California man is recovering after he was attacked by a bear while on a jog. A neighbor then stepped in and helped save his life. Shelby Riley reports. Experts say such an attack is unusual, even in bear country.
This photo showing the injuries to the man attacked by a bear.
It was just one of these things that you see in movies.
A 24-year-old man out jogging Monday afternoon in Tuolumne County when he came across a female bear and what appeared to be a cub on the side of the road. The adult female began charging at him, the man picking up a stick and hitting it on the head, leading him to run to take cover on top of an Escalade on a neighbor's driveway.
I see this young man running down the road and a bear literally chasing and biting at him. His shirt's flapping in the wind. It was just shredded, and he didn't have one of his shoes on all the way. So he's literally running with the shoe not on.
The neighbor saying she heard the commotion out front and yelled at the bear to scare it away. California Department of Fish and Wildlife has not said what will happen to the bear if and when it's found. Ann Bryant, director of the Bear League, says bears are not relocated in California.
As much as, we don't like to see anything happen to any bears, we can't risk a bear being out there that's going to react like that unless we know exactly what happened.
The 24-year-old has injuries to his back, side, and legs from the bear attack.
We feel blessed we were there to be able to help this kid in need, because it was one of these situations, it could have been life or death.
Shelby Riley reporting. The man was treated for his injuries at a local hospital. He is expected to recover. Wildlife officials obtained samples from the bear at the scene and from the man to track it down.
That wasn't heart-pounding enough. How about this? Police body cam video shows a dramatic rescue of a woman in South Texas.
She's having a fever. She's sunk. She's in the water.
Oh, come on. Hop in. I'll bring you over there.
Now, police say the driver had a seizure and passed out with her foot on the gas pedal, crashing into that pond. Her 2 children managed to get out, but she was trapped. The woman's son ran for help at the time, and 2 workers at a nearby plant jumped in and dragged the mother from the pond. The officer there on the scene gave her CPR until EMTs could arrive. After 3 weeks in intensive care, she is now breathing on her own and is expected to make a full recovery. The officer and workers received a life-saving award. Amazing rescue there, and the bystander there was watching the officer perform CPR and said with every compression, she was gaining a little bit of pulse. Wild.
In both instances, thank goodness for the bystanders, the Good Samaritans, the people helping people. And that's how you survive.
That's right. Amy Wilmoth is over in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. Love those big puffy clouds and that low humidity today.
It's so nice outside. Dew points are in the low 60s, which just doesn't happen very often during the month of August. So try to get outside today if you can and enjoy a little bit of cloud cover over Fenton and Cary, but a lot of blue sky mixed in as well. There's no rain on the radar, but we do have some of those clouds, and you can see that with our visible satellite imagery. Just a few clouds around, some puffy little clouds. They're pretty to look at in the sky. 85 the current temperature in Raleigh. It's 83 in Southern Pines. Great golf weather if you're headed down to Pinehurst or somewhere down there to do a little bit of golfing. 83 the current temperature right now in Goldsboro. The exercise forecast for today, very comfortable weather if you want to maybe take the dog out for a walk or get in some steps. It's going to be very comfortable. 87 for the high, but then we're back down into the upper 70s by 8 p.m. down to the low 70s by around 11 o'clock this evening, and we'll get down to the mid 60s overnight tonight. The dry air is with us for today. It's with us for most of the day tomorrow, but it'll start to creep into the steamy category, and then you're really going to feel the humidity again over the weekend. We have a front that approaches, and ahead of that front, we'll have a strong southerly flow that brings in a lot of moisture, and eventually we'll get some rain. Today and tomorrow are both dry days, but Saturday, we have a 30% chance for rain after sunset. So most of the day is going to be dry. Outdoor things should be fine on Saturday, but Sunday, we have a 60% chance for some scattered showers and thunderstorms, and that will mainly be the second half of the day, but a few spotty showers are possible in the morning as well. We do have a level 1 risk for severe weather on Saturday. Once we get to tomorrow, we'll know if we're under a risk for severe storms for Sunday. I do think there's going to be enough instability for at least some isolated severe storms both Saturday and Sunday, but Saturday it would be very late evening into the nighttime. So this is a look at our rain chances Saturday, hour by hour, and notice how they are very low the first half of the day, even into the afternoon. But by around 8 p.m., we have about a 30% chance for some storms. And then Sunday, a few showers in the morning, and then we get a little bit of a break before things start to ramp back up in the heating of the afternoon. About a 40% chance from 3, 4, and 5 o'clock, and then up to a 60% chance at 6 and 7 o'clock. So rain more likely as we head toward Sunday as that cold front moves through. But that cold front is going to keep Ernesto away from the coast, which is good news for us. Hurricane hunters are flying into the storm right now. They're in the eye of the storm right now. They left Wilmington at about 10 o'clock this morning, taking measurements. The data that they get from this goes into the weather models and helps to let us know exactly where the storm is going and how strong it's going to be. Now, models are in great agreement that it's not going to make landfall in the United States. It's going to likely make landfall in Bermuda over the weekend, but it's close enough that we're going to have some dangerous rip currents and rough surf along the North Carolina coast. So it's best to stay out of the water this weekend. Officials are urging people to stay out of the water, even though the weather's going to be pretty nice, especially Saturday. It's pretty quiet around here for the next few days, but some storms with the front over the weekend, but nice weather returns by next Tuesday and Wednesday.
All right, thanks, Amy. Get ready to step into the glorious world of Tinseltown, how you can own a bit of Hollywood history.
And the winning Powerball numbers, we have them here: 8, 9, 23, 29, 62. The Powerball is 13. The multiplier is 2.
We wrap things up with a look at a few of the headlines we're following for you today.
A plane made an emergency landing at RDU this morning. There were reports of smoke on the plane. No planes were able to land for about 10 minutes. We have not heard any reports of injuries, and we don't know what caused the smoke. Crews attached an airplane tug to the front wheels of the plane, and they towed it off the runway.
The state of North Carolina is offering a $50,000 reward now for information leading to the arrest of a convicted murderer who ran from UNC Hospital's Hillsborough on Tuesday. Today, authorities released recordings of 2 911 calls placed from the scene of Ramon Alston's escape. In one, someone says, quote, "He just jumped out of the car and ran. One of my coworkers saw him running down Waterstone Drive." Alston was transported to UNC hospitals for treatment, and he escaped before officers were able to get him inside.
Battery maker Natron Energy is planning a $1.4 billion plant to be located between Tarboro and Rocky Mount. The project is expected to be announced this afternoon. It could create 1,200 jobs.
A musical group from North Carolina is on its way to the next round of America's Got Talent. And the trio, Ashes and Arrows, is from Asheville. They made it to the semifinals after last night's fan vote after performing their song Wild Horses Monday night. They'll be among the final 12 acts competing when that round gets started September 10th.
A blockbuster Hollywood prop auction is taking place in Tinseltown. The auction features more than 1,900 items from film and television. From Star Wars lightsabers to Harry Potter's Hogwarts acceptance letter, Prop Store's memorabilia auction seemingly has something for every fan.
They're the physical manifestation of that great piece of entertainment that we can't forget, that lives in our minds forever. And to have something that was really there on set as part of the making of the magic is pretty special.
So how much are you willing to pay? Bidding on items runs through Sunday at propstore.com. Our pet of the day comes to us from Hope Animal Rescue. Archie is a wise old soul wrapped in a furry four-legged frame. His presence lights up any room he enters. Despite his advancing years, Archie's enthusiasm for life remains undiminished, making him the embodiment of ageless charm. Archie is a seasoned pro at melting hearts with his affectionate snuggles. Contact Hope Animal Rescue for more information on Archie and other adorable pets up for adoption.
Speaking of these pets, Renee, this year's Clear the Shelter initiative is in full swing. Today, we highlight Cumberland County Animal Service's mission to foster harmony between people and animals. Their dedicated team works to enforce state and local laws, provide humane shelter for stray and unwanted animals, and promote responsible pet ownership. Through their shelter and adoption programs, law enforcement and public education efforts, they strive to improve the welfare of both animals and the community. Big month, August, for clearing the shelters.
Coming up on WRAL News at 4, new information about a foodborne parasite that made more than 100 people sick in Wake County. We'll tell you where else in the viewing area cases like that have been reported.
Keeping an eye on Ernesto out in the Atlantic right now, as well as some of the rain that's coming to our area potentially over the weekend here.
Yeah, but today and tomorrow look really nice. And of course, that drop in humidity, so refreshing. Such a treat to get this in mid-August, right?
It is, yeah. NBC News Daily up next on WRAL. Your next local news update in 30 minutes.
We're so glad you could spend some time with us here on our new news. You can get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. Now go out and enjoy this beautiful weather. Have a wonderful day.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air channel 34 and Spectrum channel 1257.